Everyone, what's going on? This is Gabe. I am your host of the Mogabr Show. Welcome to another episode, and this is another edition of the weekly catch up. So, we're going to talk about a few different topics today. First off, we're going to talk about Humane. Humane, you probably heard about it if you're watching tech news and reading about all the different AI stuff going on in the news. They are the company that's behind the AI pin. They raised upwards of 230, $250 million in the last few years at a valuation of well over $800 million. And it took them a long time to release a small little pin that pins on top of you here that cost $700 and had a subscription fee of 24 bucks, give or take. Well, it came out and the reviews were horrible. The device sucked. More importantly, it wasn't a true AI assistant because it wasn't tied to your phone, the device that you use on a daily basis, multiple times a day, multiple times an hour, that is in your pocket. You're attached to it. Your kids are attached to it. Your parents are attached to it. And it didn't sync to it. You needed a new telephone number and it overheated. It had a wonky UI with a projector that would it just basically didn't work out. MKBHD, famous YouTuber who is amazing at reviewing products, Marquise Brownlee is his name, reviewed it and was quite harsh in his review. And well, it just hasn't gone well since there. So now apparently they are looking for someone to acquire them. They're supposedly looking in the realm of 850 million to $1 billion. Are they going to get that? I mean, I don't know. Who the hell knows what's gonna happen? But anything's possible should they get that. No. The founders had a strong pedigree. They both worked at Apple, were amazing designers. That doesn't always translate to leaving and doing something like this on your own. Remember the DeLorean? Well, so here we are. That's happening. And, we're moving on. Next up, Apple. They released their list of the 100 best albums of all time, and fans are in an uproar. How was this ranked? What was the criteria? You know the drill, et cetera, et cetera. Whenever you release the best stuff list, it's always going to be this way. Who's better, Jordan or Kobe, Jordan or LeBron, LeBron or Kobe, you're Dr. J. You're always going to come across this, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, etc. There will always be comparisons. There will always be who is better than lists. At the top of this list is Lauryn Hill debut album, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, her debut solo album, excuse me. And quite frankly, it was a great album. I loved it. I still play it. I think it was an amazing album then. It's an amazing album now. It has stood the test of time. Is it number one? That's subjective. Music, like movies, like books, it's all subjective. So this is really up to you to decide. But Apple has stirred quite the controversy and drawn up quite the attention to it. And maybe that was part of the reason they did it because it draws attention away from their ad from a couple of weeks ago, if you remember. So good job. Mission accomplished if that's what the goal was. Next, let's talk about something that hasn't been talked about much lately with AI all in the news. The metaverse. Yes, the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg famously renamed Facebook Meta. And people thought that it was a flop, but was it really? We don't know. Time will tell. Apple came out with their Vision Pro that sort of validates Meta's long-term approach in things. So Mark Zuckerberg is just sitting there laughing, saying, "Told you so." But Changi Airport in Singapore, which for the eighth year in a row has been voted the world's best airport, also is the world's seventh busiest airport, has released the ChangiVerse, built on top of Roadblocks' platform. It's a digital, immersive, interactive experience for travelers, customers all over the world. And we'll see if it catches on. It's an interesting idea. It's a new take on things. It's a way to keep people engaged. It has shops, it has interactivity, games, rewards for people. So let's see how that plays out. Will this be the new norm where more airports, train depots, bus depots do that? Are bus depots still a thing? I don't know. But more places are probably going to be doing something like this because at the end of the day, the future of the world is digital in one way, shape, or form, whether it's the metaverse or whether it's just another form of engagement with users because you want to be able to monetize even more. And this is just another way to do that. So I do think that there is a future for the metaverse. It just depends. We have to wait it out and see where it goes long term. Now let's move on to OpenAI. OpenAI, who is synonymous with AI, thanks to ChatGPT when it was released in November of 2022, excuse me, has been in the news for a lot of reasons. Not all of them good, some of them good. They released their ChatGPT 4.0, O standing for Omni, last week. And well, a lot of things have sort of happened since then. Scarlett Johansson has hired a lawyer and sent a letter to OpenAI cease and desist. She brought up the fact that 8, 9 months ago, Sam Altman had approached her and her team about using her voice as one of the voices of their AI. She said no after thinking about it. They approached her again a few days before GPT 4.0 was released. Again, she said no. They released 4.0 last week with a voice that sounded eerily like hers. The voice's name was Sky, and it sounded like her character in the movie Her, a sci-fi movie that Sam Altman has referenced repeatedly and has said it's one of his favorite movies. So interesting to see where this goes, interesting to see how this will play out long term. One of the other reasons that they're in the news as well as the Scarlett Johansson thing that I just mentioned is their NDA, but not a non-disclosure agreement. It's a non-disparagement agreement. Basically, leaked documents have shown that OpenAI was being brutal with them, basically clawing back equity that had been vested, supposedly. It's led to apologies from senior management, including Sam Altman, who said he did not know this was happening and he's working to rectify this and has reached out publicly asking former employees to reach out to him or to the team if this has happened to them so that they can rectify this immediately. Now, after his apologies, more leaked documents have come out with his signature on some of these edicts, if you will, that sort of contradicts his apology. And now people are wondering, is OpenAI and Sam Altman showing their true colors? We will see. We don't know what's happening yet. Nobody ever really knows what's going on inside of a company, but this does not look good at all. And finally, in the last of the OpenAI news, Ilya Sutskever and Yang Leaky have left OpenAI. Ilya was one of the co-founders and their chief scientist since its founding. He was also famously, supposedly, one of the people behind Sam Altman's ouster back in November of 2023, and famously also responsible for bringing him back in November 2023 when he had an about face. Jan was the head of the super alignment team, which was responsible for instituting AI safety protocols at OpenAI so that when they inevitably achieved AGI, they made sure it was going to be in the best way possible for humanity. They were promised 20% of OpenAI's compute resources, and well, apparently that didn't happen. So we'll see how this plays out long term. Also, worth noting is that Sam Altman was added to the DHS's Department of Homeland Security AI Safety Board. So if OpenAI themselves don't have an AI safety board or committee, just brings up a lot of questions. So again, we'll see where this goes. This is just a side note, but Blue Sky now has DMs if anybody cares. I am on Blue Sky, so it's great that you can now use DMs on Blue Sky. A lot of people have been asking for it. It's not encrypted yet, but hey, they have it. It's a start, so hopefully we get there. And here's a name from someone I have not heard from in a long time, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, who has been in prison, incarcerated, confined to London for however many years now, was just granted a right to appeal his extradition to the US on charges of releasing classified information. We will see how this plays out. Obviously, this has far reaching implications on freedom of the press, There are those that say he's not press. There are those that say he is press. Let's see where this goes. It'll be interesting to watch, follow, and see where this goes long term. And that's all for today, ladies and gentlemen. This was another episode of the weekly catch up for the Mogabr Show. I'm Gabe, your host as always. Stay tuned for more episodes. Subscribe, leave me a comment. If you don't like it, if you don't like this format, let me know. If you prefer I do a deep dive, let me know. I'm always interested in what people have to say. You can email me at podcasts@mogabr.com. I'll put it down here. You can see it. It'll be in the show notes as well. Some of you know me already and have already been reaching out to me to tell me how much you hate me. Some of you have told me how much you love me. That's great. Keep it coming, and I'll keep doing more shows. Hope to talk to you guys soon.